So great to see you all. We have a really good one in store. So I think you are going to be happy that you came, although of course this will be recorded and posted on YouTube afterwards. So if you're not already following our YouTube channel, that would be a good opportunity to go in and do that too. So you can keep in touch of all these recordings that we post, as well as the other training videos and things that we post like that. Lots of good stuff going on to our YouTube, courtesy of Sage on our team and some other fine folks coming to post their own videos as well. Well, we're going to go ahead and get things started here, folks. So in case this is your first ever Catch Up with Keeper webinar, I'm going to explain a bit how things work. We have some new features that we're going to showcase. These are all the new things we shipped in the last month. So I'm going to talk about a few of those. We'll pause as I talk through each feature for any Q&A. And if you have questions, whether they are related to the feature or not, please drop them into the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen on Zoom so that we can keep those organized and go in and answer them. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and dive on in. We have a really exciting announcement that I get to lead off with, and that is the launch of our already announced tax suite. So just in time for tax season 2024 or 2025, depending on how you refer to it, we have launched our whole suite of workflow and communications capabilities designed to help firms who already do their bookkeeping in Keeper also do their tax work here as well. So basically everything that you thought of as a close has now been re-envisioned as a tax return as well. And so the first place where that's relevant is right here on the client list. We now have the ability to run a tax return view as well that just shows all of your tax-only clients. And you can see all of them right here, easily see the status of any outstanding tax returns. Just like you have close preparers, reviewers, and managers, you can have tax assignees for tax roles as well. You can see any questions, any requests you made for them. We'll talk a little bit more about what some of those options are here as well. And then just like you can click into a close, you can click into a tax return. So 2024 will be the default, but you can always create older tax returns as well. So if you're working on multiple returns in sequence, you can see all of those here. And then very similarly, just like on the close page where you can see all open or latest closes, you can also see all open or latest tax returns here as well. And so let's go ahead and dive on into a tax return. And you'll see it looks quite similar to the close page. We wanted this to feel familiar. We wanted this to feel like something you're already used to working in. So if you click into a client, it will take you to the close page, the tax page. That's really the only difference here. And then instead of seeing your closing tasks, you'll see your tax tasks. So you'll still have your non-closing tasks because those are related to the client. They'll show up in both your tax view and your close view. You'll still see your client details. You'll still have access to the portal, the files, all of the shared resources that are tied to the client will show up here. And then if you scroll down, you'll see we have your tax sections. So just like you have closing sections that repeat every time you roll forward a close, tax returns work in much the same way. So we've designed some by default, gather information, review the financials, prepare the tax return, and then file the tax return. But if you have different sections, all of this is fully customizable, fully flexible in your settings, just the same way that you would edit your sections in your close. And one more thing I'll mention here is we are on the tax page, but you can see here, it's really easy to toggle back and forth between the tax and the close page. So we can just toggle over here into our close. Now we're working on our close, toggle back over into our tax return. It's that simple. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I will mention you can now control click things and right click things. So you can have, for example, your close and your tax return both open at once if you need to toggle back and forth for some reason. All right. And what good would a tax management software be without some way of asking your clients for the 1 million different things you need to know in order to file their tax returns? And so for that, we have organizers. Organizers here are designed to be a essentially form filling tool where you can request anything you want from your clients, publish it to the portal. They can go and fill stuff out. So this is what things look like on our end. You can think of this very much like a form builder that you should already be used to using. And then on the client side of things, go ahead and open up the portal. You can see the clients have a new action required tray. And in that tray, they can see they have a 2024 1040 organizer here. This is called that because we happen to have published this organizer, but if you gave an organizer a different name, this would of course follow suit. And so here we've pre-built for you a 1040 template. If you like it, you're welcome to use it. If you don't like it, you are welcome to discard it, as well as anything in between. But it's really here as a reference point of how you might use an organizer. So here, for example, you've got some basic information that you want to fill out. You have the ability to do things like add dependents. I think actually this organizer does not have a dependence question. So that's a bad example. But you can add, you know what? I'm going to actually show you how easy it is to edit. If you wanted to make an edit to an organizer, you just revert it to a draft. And then we go back to our drafts. And then I can add a slide here. And dependents will go in what we call a multi-input question, because multi-input questions have the ability to allow the user to put things in as many times as they want. So really quickly, I'll go ahead and drag that to the top just so y'all can see. And so we can say dependents. Please list your dependents here. And then we can have our input label 1 is dependent first name, dependent last name, and dependent social security. We'd probably ask for birth dates and other relevant information, how much you spent on childcare and education and all that. But the important box check here is allow recipient to fill this form multiple times, because that is what's going to let them fill out any dependents that they have. So now we're going to republish that organizer. As you can see, when we republish the organizer, all of the information that our clients had already filled out stays filled out. So they don't need to, it's not like you're completely trashing and redoing the form. But now if we go ahead and refresh the page here, we should have that organizer question now with our dependents. And so we can see someone can fill out Bob Smith, and then Gene Smith. So for every dependent, you can just fill out one of these records, and then all of this gets filled and saved. One important point about organizers here is all of this is live saved on the fly. So if your clients are filling out information, they can fill out part of the organizer and then leave, come back, all their progress is saved, and you see the live update of all of their progress. So you don't need to wait until they submit to start working on their tax return if they've already given you some relevant information here. One more thing I'll show here. You can also request files through the organizer. So for example, W-2s, 1099s, K-1s, all of this information here you can request. Your clients can upload it directly here to the organizer, and then you'll get a copy of that here in the publish organizer as well as in your files in your client. So that is the organizer really designed around taxes, but we wanted to make it something that is generalizable enough so that you can use an organizer for anything. So it really is a general form builder. So you can use organizers for things like onboarding a new bookkeeping client, or maybe an intake questionnaire for a new client that you've never had before. So anything that you can think of as a form, this is our new recommendation that is in organizers. All right. And one more significant upgrade to the portal dedicated just for taxes is what we call our tax tracker, but what I like to call our pizza tracker. And that is the ability to give your clients a live look at all of their open tax returns and the statuses of those. So you can give your clients an ETA, a high level status, and a high level status and a description of what that status means. So that instead of your clients asking you every single time, hey, what's status of my tax return? When is it going to be ready? What's the latest? You can set up these tax return trackers, and then your clients can go to the portal and see the latest information there. So another good reason to drive your clients to the portal, another good way to deflect probably the most common question in tax filing season. Now you can do tax returns just like Domino's does their pizza. Okay. So that's the main nuts and bolts behind the upgrades to the tax suite. A few settings I'm going to talk about. If you have the tax suite enabled, what to do to configure it to your to make it work for your practice. And then I'll also talk about pricing and how that works. So for settings here, we got our practice settings. First things first, if you go to your workflows, you have to enable your tax tracker right here. So that's one setting to make sure you want to enable if that's something that you want in your client's portal. Just like you have close preparers, reviewers, and managers, you also have the ability to add tax preparers, reviewers, and managers as well. And you can change the assignee labels there too if you want to have different names for those roles. And then a couple of interesting things about tax return statuses. So just like you have closed statuses, you have tax statuses as well. But because we have that tax tracker is actually linked to the status. And so you have internal statuses and tax tracker statuses. So your tax tracker statuses, these are anything that you might want to show to your client, which may not be exactly the same thing as your internal status. So for example, you might have in progress and ready for review and second review, and all of those would just correspond to in review in your tax tracker status. So definitely want to make sure that you configure this to what you like here before you go in and start to enable and display the tax tracker statuses. All right, so those are the main settings in tax. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to edit your tax sections, that is still in your sections manager. So you can see that down here in your tax sections. All right, and last but not least, pricing. So we wanted to make pricing for our tax suite a no-brainer decision. So any firm who has 20 connected clients and is on a contract gets taxes for free. There's no added costs. There's no upcharges. There's no anything. It's all included for any firms that have 20 connected clients. So super simple. And if you want to get added, I will drop a link in the chat, unless Shayna has already done so. And if you fill that form out, we will get taxes enabled if you already qualify. And if not, we will send a follow-up so that you can set up a contract and get it enabled as well. Okay. So that's the big update for the month, but we do have a lot more exciting stuff that are smaller details, really nice quality of life. So first and foremost, I know a lot of you have been asking for this. You can finally now rename your client properties. So if you go to your all client settings, properties, we've actually updated this screen here. So you now just manage your properties. So you can reorder anything here. You can add a property here. And then if you click edit property, that will let you change the name. So I know I saw someone in the chat a few days ago ask if there was a way to have change their fiscal, like tax year 23 to tax year 24. Well, now you can do that. Just come in here and edit the name. Okay. One other thing, I already kind of alluded to this, but this is like my favorite UX improvement we've made in a long time. That's a super small one. And that is you now have the ability to control click more things to open them in new tabs. So this is especially valuable if you're on the client list and you wanted to open, let's say, all 4 of these clients' tax return pages at once. Previously, you would have to click it, go back, open a new tab, click it, go back, open a new tab. So here you can just right click or command click, or if you're on Windows, you heathens, you can control click. We can just control click all of those. And then you have all of your tax return pages here as well. So I know a lot of you like to work in multiple tabs. Hopefully you appreciate this one as much as I do. Okay, one more exciting update on the topic of clicking links, I know, is you also have a new update here where if we go to a transaction, let's say we're in demo, or let's say we're in ledger test file here in QBO, as you well know, clicking links previously to transactions if you weren't in the right file caused all manner of problems. But now if we're in QuickBooks, if we have ledger test file open, and then we go ahead and open a transaction that's in DemoCo, it will actually automatically go ahead and switch the file for us so that we can now see that this is the right Descript transaction that's actually in DemoCo. So if we close this out, we can see we're in DemoCo now. So it's a good way to make sure that if you're working in Keeper, you're also working in the same corresponding QuickBooks file. Okay, on to some portal updates. First and foremost, we have continued to listen to your feedback on how to make Portal 2.0 better. We have a few major updates that have gone live now. We're not done yet. We have more upgrades that will continue to come. but just to talk to a few of those. First and foremost, we added explicit timestamps for years. So now every time you see a date, you will see a year that corresponds to it. You don't need to guess if this was August 2024 or August 2023. So all those dates should be explicit here for you to reference. And then another update, I know a few of you mentioned that this box can get really small if your text is long. And so we made an update to that as well. So now this will work much more similarly to how an iMessage text will work, for example. All right, and then one more update here. If you're in your non-transaction questions, I know a bunch of y'all mentioned there's a little bit too much clicking here. And so one of the other updates that we made is if you resolve a question, so we resolve this, it's going to automatically bump us down to the next question. So we resolve this here. You can see it automatically opens the next available question. And then one more update that is not on the bookkeeper side of things, but is actually on your client side of things. I know a few of you have complained about this, and I think it's like extremely justified. We had a little bit more elaborate of a password resetting process that I think was appropriate. So we've simplified the password reset process. I know it's a silly thing to talk about, but it is actually important. Making sure your clients log into the portal is the top priority. So we updated this. So if you want to set a password, you can just click forgot your password, and then it will send you a password reset link. It won't send you a magic link that you have to like wrestle with to go back to just getting a password reset link. So just a simpler password reset flow, that much easier to make it simple for your clients to go in and get started using the portal. All right, so now I'm going to open it up for some Q&A. So we only have a few questions. Okay, automasked. You've missed it when you opened it up. How do you show only tax clients versus the bookkeeping clients? Oh, this is actually a major setting that I didn't talk about. So thank you, Autumn, for asking. If you want to make a client a tax client, you have to go to your all client settings here, and then there is a checkbox called tax returns. So tax returns and monthly closes are now what we call workflows. And so you can have one or both enabled. So you can have just taxes or just closes or taxes and closes. So you just check this box. That will enable tax returns. I will mention one thing right now. This is not currently disableable. We still have some work to do to make sure that taxes is like, there's a few like hidden corners we need to polish out. That's one of them. If you accidentally enable tax returns, you need to disable it. Just write into the chat. We'll take care of it for you in a few seconds. So that will be coming soon. But yeah, if you enable taxes on a client, either there or when you're adding your client here, you click Add Client, you can now choose to have monthly closes and or tax returns. And then Autumn, coming back to your original question, which is how can you see just your tax clients versus just your closed clients? There is a tax returns firm view. So you can toggle to that to see your closed clients, or sorry, to see your tax clients, and then your other views will show you your closed clients. Erica asked, with organizers, is there a way to have them e-sign? Not currently, although we are working on some e-signing capabilities, so hopefully we'll have some more to share on that in January. Jordan asked, do we anticipate providing a way to track and complete separate projects within a client in the future, similar to what is now available for taxes? For example, if we process payroll for a client, being able to have a payroll project attached to the client instead of just a task within your non-closing section. This is definitely something that we've thought a lot about, and I won't rule it out. I do think it's a really interesting concept. We want to make sure it's something that doesn't get unruly. So you have like a zillion projects, and then it's never clear what's a project versus what's a task. Jordan, to answer your question, it is something that we're evaluating. I can't say it's something that is currently on our roadmap today. Jamie asked, is the organizer section separate from taxes? So yes and no. Yes, in that you can use it even if you don't have taxes enabled for a particular client. So it is designed to be independent in that respect, but it is part of the tax suite. So you do need to have the tax suite enabled in order to take advantage of organizers. Sam asked, how do you change who the email is sent from for Keeper emails? Currently just shows as questions as the from. Great question. It sounds like you either may not have premium enabled, or if you do have premium enabled, you haven't set up your practice email. So for the practice email, if you have it enabled, it's in your practice settings, client portal, and then branding. And you can set up your practice email right here and set that up. And that's the email that will get used to send emails for Keeper. As for the questions that if you don't see this, if you don't see branding, that means you don't have premium on, just drop into our chat and we will answer a question there as well. Or sorry, we'll get you upgraded to premium. Kate asked, are the organizers available for monthly closes and bookkeeping processes? The answer is yes. So organizers is not restricted to just use within tax. So for example, templates, you can have organizers here. Again, I mentioned we have this organizer. You could create a totally separate organizer here called like bookkeeping intake form and use it in any sort of workflow that's relevant for you. One more thing I'll mention, just since it's here, is you can restrict organizers. So if you have, for example, like sensitive tax information, maybe you only want the tax user seeing that. Or if you have like super sensitive information, maybe it's like billing information and you only want the super admin seeing that, you can set up organizers so that they're permissioned so that only people with the right scope can see the answers to your client's questions there. Okay, Samuel asked, can you assign specific uncategorized transactions to specific people? Is there a plan to roll out allowing clients to categorize to specific accounts instead of just leaving a comment? Okay, two questions. So first, can you assign specific and categorized transactions to specific people? And the answer is yes. So if you go to your portal settings and you enable assignable questions, then if you go to a question, if you want to ask a question or update a question, you have the ability to add an assignee. Second question is, do we have plans to allow clients to categorize? Yes, that is something that is in the works for 2025. This will likely take the form of giving our clients the ability to choose from a dropdown rather than having them auto-categorize transactions themselves that you can then just approve at the end. Ahmad asked, is the organizer available to Canadian clients? The answer is yes. The organizer is available to anyone. Caleb asked, can you send a link or explain the tax section features of Keeper? I can post a link to the Help Center afterwards, or we can drop that in the video. Jamie asked, can we elaborate on security levels with tax personal info coming in on tax organizers? Sure. So I will back up and talk about organizers really quickly. Okay. So there are 4 different permission levels. Unrestricted means anyone in the firm can see that organizer. Tax users and above means users who have taxes enabled and have access to that client will see that organizer. So here, if we go to our practice settings, manage users, there is a tax returns option. So if you have people who are like bookkeeping only or outsourced staff in the Philippines, for example, who you don't want having access to certain more sensitive tax information, you can uncheck that box, and then they will not only not see the tax return page, nor any associated files that are uploaded to the tax return page, but also they will not see any organizers that are labeled as tax only or higher. Admins and above and super admins, again, depending on who you want to have access to things, you can add these differential levels, and then only the people who have that level of permission will be able to see the data that's in that form. As for like general form security, this data is kept to the same standards of security as the entire rest of the app. which is to say all data is encrypted at rest and in transit. We have annual penetration testing. We're SOC 2 Type 2 certified. We spend a lot of time thinking about security before we ship any new feature. So from a security standpoint, we definitely put our best foot forward in terms of making sure this is something that you can trust and rely on with your client's most sensitive financial information. And then from a permissioning perspective, that's how we ensure that you can choose just who in your firm should be able to see something. Erica asked, does the tax flow line turn green if completed like the close page? That's a great question. I actually don't know the answer to that question. I will have to get back to you. Okay, Jamie asked, we are looking at using the time tracking feature. Is there a way to have different service amounts for different tasks? For example, one fee charged for monthly close processes and one fee charged for CFO services. Not currently. We don't really have a great system for like setting up a billing infrastructure around it, especially if you have differential rates for differential hours. That is definitely something we want to improve upon in 2025. So good feedback there, but unfortunately not something that that we have at this time. Okay, Sarah asks, is there any easy way to convert questions from existing templates to an organizer? Unfortunately, no, not at this time, short of copying and pasting that data over. And Kate asked, can you send multiple organizers? Yes, the answer is yes. So if I publish this second organizer, just add a single slide here. If you have two published organizers here, then your clients will just see two actions that they need to take. So one is the super sensitive organizer, and the other is the 2024 1040 organizer. So this is also another good way if you wanted to like call out one particular thing you need urgently. Each organizer shows up as a separate item on the action required tray. Samantha asked, if you are not using the organizer for tax, do you still have to turn on tax workflows? Also, if you don't have 20 clients, can you use that? So you do still have to enable the tax suite to unlock organizers, and you do have to have a minimum, essentially 20 client slots, even if you don't use them. Yeah, short answer is yes to both of those. Anonymous attendee asked, are we working on making the sales tax tracking on Keeper more efficient, as it is the major issue for that Canadian clients face? Short answer is yes. We have a lot of improvements in the works for 2025. If you have specific areas where you feel like Keeper needs to get better, please don't hesitate to write into the chat, reach out to your CSM, contact us over email. We are, as I hope most of y'all know here, very open and receptive to feedback. So we appreciate anything that you can do to help us get better at that. All right, well, I suppose it's time we talked about the question that everyone's been asking about. I wanted to do a more dramatic Steve Jobs style one more thing email, but too many people have asked about it, so I go ahead and directly answer it. So various people have asked various questions. Any update on the new email feature? Can we send multiple emails? Send emails from different email address? Might have missed it, but are there any email updates? I was told that there would be an email update. Are there going to be any email updates? So yes, and now I am super excited to announce the latest and greatest improvement that is live in a private alpha and will be live generally available in January. Keeper emails. So as some of you keen-eyed observers may have already noticed, there is a new navigation icon here on my screen, and that is the inbox. So the inbox here is designed to be just like a normal Keeper, normal inbox. If you are used to using Gmail or Outlook, this should feel very comfortable, very familiar. It's designed to allow you to do things like compose emails, read emails, respond to emails, anything else like that. So first and foremost, it's just designed to just be a normal email client. And then, of course, on top of that, we have layered lots of collaboration, task management capabilities on top of it. So first and foremost, you got a client here asking when their financials are going to be ready. And maybe you are not directly responsible for this, but you've got another client. So, or you got another team member that works on this. So you can just @tag them, same way you might @tag someone in a comment on a transaction or on a task or anything else in the entire rest of the system. And you can just @tag them here, Ben the manager. Do that and say, I'll just tag myself here so you can see. What's the status? So just like all your comments will show up in your comment inbox, you can have a back and forth collaborative conversation about it here in your comment inbox or here on the email itself. And all of those will get tied to the record of the email. So it's just a little bit weird to be having a conversation with myself, but we could say something like should be ready on the 25th. So you can have back and forth collaborative conversation before you go ahead and respond to the email and say, hi, Ben, this should be ready on the 25th. And this will send just like a normal email. And then we can go ahead and archive it. And in addition to your personal email, you can also now finally read emails in the practice email. So here I've got a couple here as well. And let's say we've got an email from our client. I'm ready for advisory. Can we schedule some time to talk about it? So we've already shown about how you can add comments and have a back and forth conversation. You can also now add tasks to emails as well. And if that contact is, or if your email is from a contact, that contact is related to a client, we will auto-complete that client here. So we can say, all right, this is Jensen Technology. Got a non-closing task here. We're going to put it in general. You might put it in a different section here as well. And we might schedule an advisory meeting. And maybe we're going to go ahead and even assign this to someone else. So again, that task will get created. It will be linked into the thread. So you can see the status, see this email, see this updated here as well if you need to add more information. And of course, if we go to that close, which again, you can also Ctrl Click now. We can see here, we've got that task here. And we've got the thread. So we can pull up the thread. If our clients had responded to this, we can have that back and forth conversation here. Because I am the person who is on this email, I can reply. But if I were someone else, I would just see the sort of context of the thread and I can't reply. So you can't reply unless you are like the person whose inbox it is. But again, can also add comments. So it is this like email thread that has been tied into the task that you are working on. And one more cool thing about these tasks is you can also create custom views for them here on your tasks. So any task that is created that an email is linked to, we have this new column here called linked email. And that way you can create a saved view of all your linked emails or just emails linked by me. This is a particularly valuable thing if you want to, valuable sort of filter. If you wanted to, let's say we delegated this out of our inbox, we archive it out of our inbox, but we still want to sort of track those and make sure that the task still gets completed. So this is a good way to use that. You've got this task list here, and then we can always pull up the status of that task. And then maybe again, we can comment on the task, ask Kenny what the status is, and all of those, all of that task data continues to live just like a normal task in Keeper. Okay, so that is what's available here in the private alpha, live for a very limited set of firms to test with. So yeah, that's Keeper emails. We have one more big set of upgrades coming in January that will go live before the full feature is ready. Unfortunately, I can't demo that, but that is essentially a timeline view. We call it shared email activity, and that is any email back and forth in any inbox that's connected to Keeper from any contact that is associated with any client. I know that's a lot of any's. If you'll have a place on that client's close page where you can click to see all of the latest emails. So if you're running into a meeting and you want to see what are the latest two back and forths, is there anything that's left outstanding, unresponded to, you'll be able to see all of those emails right in one place, all right inside Keeper. Okay, all right. So that's Keeper emails. Thank you all for spoiling my my fun announcement, but I hope you enjoyed what we have cooked up and coming in the works. So now I will go ahead and take some questions now. Okay, so Sam's question from earlier, are all emails sent from the same email address? Once Keeper Emails goes live, you'll be able to send emails from your own email. So any email that you send will be able to send from your own email or from the practice email. And we are also working on a way to have multiple connected practice emails so that if you had like an info ad, a help ad, a support ad for different use cases, a sales ad, you'll be able to create multiple different inboxes. That one may not be live at launch, but is definitely in the longer term roadmap for Keeper emails. Lauren asked, can I sync my Outlook email to it? The answer is yes. This will connect to any email that currently connects to Keeper. We use Nihilus under the hood for our email connection provider. So Google works well out of the box. Gmail works well out of the box. Outlook works well out of the box. Pretty much anything else that you can set up an IMAP connection to will work pretty much natively out of the box. Ahmad asked, I hope this is clear by now, but is this email an integration with our current email, such as Outlook, or a standalone email? But in case that was unclear, this is an integration to your current email, not a full replacement for your G Suite, for example. Sandy asked, already answered this as well, but we'll answer it again. Does this email upgrade include adding more than one email address? The answer is not at the moment. Right now, you can have your individual connected email. And then you can also have the practice connected email. But going forward, we will start to add the ability to have multiple connected emails here as well. Sam asked, will the templates like the one for questions at month end be sent from my personal email now? Every email going forward, you have the ability to choose. So you can say this is from me or from the practice email. I know in this case, both of my emails are Ben@Keeper variant emails. But you can choose which email you want things to send from. Jamie asked, can W9 requests be sent from other emails other than the practice email then? Yes, when Keeper emails goes live, you'll be able to send emails to whomever from whichever email is connected to Keeper. Okay. Jeremy asked, when will the email features be available? So they're in a private alpha right now with everything that I've shown today. That's all live in the product. So private alpha right now, I will drop the link to the sign up form for that. So very limited. So if you fill this out, that will give you a chance to get on it. No guarantees. We're keeping this like a very gradual build out, but definitely filling it out is the best chance to get access to it now. But it will go live, generally available in most likely late January. Okay, Justin asked, so will the team have access to view and read the email as soon as you tag them in the comment before it is even added to a client? The answer is yes. Also, one important note, there's sort of no such thing as adding an email to a client. So the emails exist, and if they are tied to contacts who are tied to clients, then the emails will be visible when you look at your shared email activity in a particular client. So it's a little hard to share without talking more about shared email activity, which I can't demo yet on today's call. But short answer is, as soon as someone is tagged in a comment, they will have the ability to see that email. Okay, Jennifer asked, will the Keeper inbox show all emails received by my email address or only certain ones? The answer is all emails. It works just like a normal mail client. So if you use Superhuman or you use some other mail client, it's going to be a very similar experience. It's going to sort of sit on top of your normal Google or Outlook. Jeremy asked, will you be able to CC other emails? The answer is yes. Joanna asked, what is a practice email? I don't understand that. Okay, so a practice email is the only email you can connect to Keeper today. So if you send an email out of Keeper, you're using the practice email. That is the email that is here, your practice settings, client portal, branding, practice email. So if you send your clients a manual email or an automated reminder or a magic link email, all of those get used. All of those use the practice email. And now you'll also have the ability to read the emails inside your practice email as well. So we can have, so basically if you had like an info at or like a clients at, which is what we'll recommend setting up for your practice email, then this is now a shared inbox that anyone can use to see those questions. Okay, Chet asked, do the read and or archived statuses map over to Gmail and vice versa? Yes, you can archive an email, and that will archive it from your, archive this as well. That will archive it from your inbox so that you don't see it in your inbox. So this will be a one-to-one match with what you see in Gmail. or Outlook. Okay, Yausi asked, will you be able to merge emails? I don't know what merging emails is. So Yausi, if you want to explain, um, seeing as I don't know what it is, the current answer is no, but it may be something that we could support. And then other questions, will you be able to use tags? Yes, they are not live in the current alpha version, but definitely working on adding support for tags in email as well. Jamie asked, will we be able to set up client distribution emails instead of individual emails so that if a W-9 comes in, the whole team serving that will see the response? We'll have to follow up with you a little bit later on that one. We're still working on these sort of like Google Group email alias style capabilities. There's some things we may be able to support, some things we may not. So that probably won't be live at launch, but this is something that we believe is going to be a really core part of Keeper going forward. We're going to continue to invest in. So I would say no's as more not yets when it comes to things like that. Greg asked, how are attachments handled when received via email? They work just like normal attachments. In fact, I'll send one as an example. So what's do that one? I have to find out something that I can actually send. It's like a random someone's PDF. Okay, so I just sent that to my firm inbox. And there you go. We've got that. And here we can see our PDF. So this is our New York State insurance fund payment. So I figure that was relatively not sensitive. Yeah, so you have that. We are going to, as this gets closer and closer to launch, work to more deeply integrate these into, like, you want to automatically move that into a particular client's task or a client's vendor or into the client uploads inbox or things like that. You'll be able to do those kinds of movements here as well. But for now, you can just see any attachment that's uploaded and attached to the file. Chat said missive and sorted allow stacking and renaming multiple emails. Will that be supported? I can't say I'm familiar with those capabilities, so we'll have to put it as a not yet answer to that question. But definitely something that we want to support. I think probably what will be the most natural solution to this is allowing you to just like attach multiple emails to a single task, and then from that task, see all those emails side by side. Okay, Yausi asked, when a client sends multiple separate emails about the same topic, it's nice to merge them. Missive and others have this capability. Okay, sounds like a similar capability as what Chet was just mentioning, and maybe Chet was even answering the question for Yausi. So thank you, Chet. Thank you, Yausi. Definitely something we'll look into. Okay, all right. Well, that looks like all of the questions here, folks. So I'll pause for another maybe minute or so and let people think of any last minute questions, and then we will truly actually end the webinar. All right, great. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you have a I hope you have a productive rest of 2024, the remaining hours of it that are left. Wishing you all happy, healthy, and successful years in 2025. We look forward to growing with you. We look forward to supporting your practice. We do greatly appreciate the opportunity, and we don't take the responsibility lightly. So thank you all so much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing many of you in person or over Zoom in the year to come. All right. Bye, y'all.